Right now, it's just, yeah, it just gets better.
We're going a little bit out of order here. We just finished recording episode number 92, which is a spoiler. It's where we took our one-page summaries that we talked about in our last video and shared them with each other in detail. But what we want to talk about today is just the experience of what it was like for us, both writing our one-page summary and hearing the other person's.
One of the encouraging things to me was seeing how much our one-page summaries aligned with each other. That yes, we do have the same big picture of what our story is. There were some details that differed, and we'll get into a little bit of the importance of those details and why we think they may have happened. But all in all, we're on the same page, which was the goal of this exercise.
And it's reassuring to see how much we were on the same page. But, and you can see the details in our next video that hasn't been released yet when we're recording this. But just share with me, Nathan, what was your experience like going into the exercise?
So I knew going in that it was going to be difficult because there was a lot of the story that was very murky and spinning around in my head, and it was still like that all the way through the process pretty much. But the first few paragraphs were pretty easy. The first two paragraphs, I think, were pretty simple. It was easy to get that stuff down. I think that's an area of the story where we spent a lot more time. Okay. And so it was easier to figure out what was going on there. Then as we got further on, I got confused. And the first time I tried writing, I jotted down some bullets of what came next. And I was like, I am too tired and too confused right now to continue. So I had to stop, come back to it later. And the strategy that I used, you talked a little bit about some of the strategy that we wanted to use going in that I kind of forgot about.
Okay.
The three sections. You want to explain what those three sections were?
Sure. We talked about having the character level story, then that's the growth of the individual people, then the world level story, what's the science fiction part of this, and then the reader level story, what's the message to the person who's reading it.
And I had forgotten that we had discussed doing things that way. So when I came to writing, my strategy was, first of all, get the world level stuff down.
Okay. Because
that was the part that I felt I was most unsure about. There was a lot of structure there, like especially for the last half of the story. Yes. There was a lot of the world level stuff that I really didn't understand.
I'll agree with you there. I thought you were going to say because you had it was clearer.
No, okay. I wanted to get that down, make sure I knew what was going on there. And then I went back and filled in the character level stuff that related to all of those world level plot points. So a different way of doing it, and I think that might be why some of the character level stuff that you included, I didn't include.
Okay.
Because I don't know, I don't remember exactly which way I went about doing it, but I think I was primarily looking through the world level plot and seeing how does this relate to character level stuff? How does that? So I think there may have been some character level things that didn't, in my mind, relate to world level stuff. Okay. And that's why they didn't make it in mine, and they may have made it in yours.
Yeah, because I started with the 3 blocks as headers on my page, and then I wrote character level things and filled up almost the entire page and ran out of room. And then I had to go back and figure out, okay, what of this is not crucial? What can I remove to make room for world level things?
Yeah.
So that was a different
kind of
approach.
Had a backwards approach there, which is, it's interesting. It's kind of enlightening to see. I think one other thing that we saw was, like, specifically there was a story element with Vanessa that you included that I did not. And then some of the story elements with Arnold, I went into more detail that you also included it, but I went into a little bit more detail. I think that might be just a product of Vanessa's your character, Arnold's my character. So we focused a little bit more on the characters that we've spent more time with.
Yeah, I remember saying that there's one aspect of Vanessa's character growth that just felt personally crucial to me.
Yeah.
Just a very emotionally attached.
And we've talked about how that might tie into world level plot. Or we've talked about that we want it to. Her decision there. But we haven't gotten to that point yet of actually connecting it yet. So it didn't show up on mine.
So my bulk was character level, and then I had a smaller amount of world level, and then just very bottom, a few bullet points of here's what we want the reader to take away. If you look at the size difference of how much of your one-page summary was character versus world level, what would you say?
It's difficult to see because I kind of wove them together. But I do think the bulk was world level. That's kind of how I started.
Right.
My base was world level, and then I wove in the character level.
And I think, this is just me thinking, I think that both of them are equally important in a science fiction novel. So the fact that we each emphasized a different one, it's probably going to be good for us.
Yes, it probably is.
I'm trying to remember, there was something else that you observed.
I observed a weakness in the story.
Yes.
And I don't know if you want to talk about any of your stuff first, and we can kind of save this for the end.
I didn't really have anything else to share that we're not sharing in the next video.
Okay. I noticed, and we've both talked about this a little bit, I think in this video and the other video, about the weakness of the murkiness of the last part of the story.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that there's a lot that we need to figure out there, but also in writing the last paragraph of the story, which takes
last paragraph of the story,
or last paragraph of my summary, which is the last part of the story.
Right.
It does not feel like a climax to me. And I don't know how to make it feel like a climax. It obviously needs to if it's the ending of our story where all the conflict is finally resolved and things are set right. But right now it's just, it just gets better. And over time they find a way and they do stuff, and over time it eventually becomes better. And that's a really bad climax.
Yeah. Anticlimactic.
Yes.
Right.
And so I don't know what the solution to that is yet. If it's find a way for that story element to become climactic, or if it needs to be an entirely different story element that takes up that last part of the story so that it can be climactic.
It's a good observation.
Because something that we've talked about in the past is some of the ordering of things in our story, which comes first. We both ended up having the same thing first, the same order in our summaries, but the climax feels a little bit more like it is that first one than the second one, at least how we have it right now.
Right. Yeah. Good observation. Well, this was our attempt to get on the same page. We analyzed our story, figuring out, we each had to figure out what about this story is important to us. So our question for you is, when you look at what you're working on whether it's a story or some other creative aspect, what is the most important part of that work in your mind, and how do you determine that? Let us know that in the comments, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks.